Today, I'm going to walk you through setting up your first learning path in Axis-LMS. Now, before I start going around setting things up, let me go over the scenario with you. What I'm doing is setting up a linear path for our users. First, I'm going to have users submit some kind of document proof that they have met the requirements to be in this training program in the first place. After they've submitted that document, the system is going to place them into a holding phase until we get some human eyes on that document to verify its integrity. After someone has reviewed the documentation the user submitted, we're going to allow them to sign themselves up for an instructor-led training program, and then wrap up their learning path by letting the user choose whichever 2 courses they want out of a filtered catalog of eligible training. To get started, I'm going into the Learning area and then clicking the Learning Paths tile. I'll click the Manage tile to start managing the learning paths. I want to click this Add Learning Path button in the top right. I am prompted to give the path a name. Be aware that this name is viewable by the users. After naming the path, the system will try to guide us towards the next logical steps. I'll go ahead and select the option to take me into the Path Manager. The Path Manager shows us our active, pending, and all historical versions of this learning path. But as this is new, we're going to be working exclusively with the pending for now. I'll click the edit icon for the pending version, and I will start constructing the steps. When constructing learning paths, we are building them one step at a time. There are quite a lot of things we're able to do, but for today, I'm keeping it simple. First, I'll give the step a caption. While the reasoning isn't applicable to this scenario, we do recommend against naming your steps Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. So instead, I'm going to call this step Form Request. Under the step content and activities, I'm going to change the step type. Now, with my scenario in the back of my head, I'm going to change this step type to a file upload step. After that's been selected, I'm going to edit the step content. I'm going to write a message to the user explaining what we're asking for them to submit. And then I'm going to disable non-document file types, as we want to see either an image or a document uploaded by the user. After that is filled out, I'm scrolling down to the step completion section. If you want to mess with step requirements, that's completely at your discretion. That section is used for applying time requirements and limits. Under the step completion, I'm going to hone in on the View Step link buried under the green heading. What this is basically summarizing is that after the file is uploaded and the user clicks Complete, move them on to the next step. When I click that link, I can go ahead and create that next step to start editing. Now that I've got the basic formula down, these next few steps should go faster. I'll give it a caption, and for this step, I'm putting the user in a holding phase until administration has had a chance to review their submission. I'll configure the step type to a holding step. Edit the content to inform the user their document is currently being reviewed. Save, and then view the next step. Now, if a user has reached this step, it means someone has manually reviewed their submission and they are cleared to start the training. I'll change the step type to Learning Activities and then add a new learning activity. I'll select an existing instructor-led training program from the drop-down and decide how I want to get users into the program. I just click the Add button when I'm done. I can click these tags here to toggle the settings if I want to change them. Once again, I'm scrolling to the bottom of the page to view the next and final step. For this step, I'm going to give the user some options. I'll change the step type to Learning Activities and then add a new learning activity. But this time, I'm selecting a course group from the course dropdown. There are a few different options here. I can require the user to complete and pass versus just completing a course. And I can automatically reset the courses for the user if I choose to. As before, after I click Add, each of the courses have their own toggle tags. As I said earlier on, we only need the user to complete 2 of these courses, so I'm going to use the drop-down for this section and change it from any to 2. One more difference for this step. As this is the final step of the path, I don't want to move the user onto some new step after passing the courses. I'm going to delete that event using the delete button, and then I'm going to add a new action. There are a lot of pivotal actions I can select here. But since my goal is to wrap things up for the users, I'll select Mark Learning Path Complete, Add, and then Close. I will click this Manage button here. This lets me visualize the steps in the learning path I've set up. When I'm done editing, I'll return to the Path Manager, and now I'm ready to activate the pending path. Once I click this, any user starting the path from that point onwards will be on this track. And that's it. Of course, there is a lot more you can do with learning paths beyond the basics I just showed you. Thanks for watching.